you doing, everybody? Nick Virgilio here, and I have a very special guest in studio today, Casey Cooper.
Hello.
How are you, man?
Good.
Great to have you here.
Great to be here.
Now, I guess it was before I worked here. You have been to Sweetwater once before.
I have, yeah. I came to GearFest in 2014, I think.
Okay.
And I just fell in love with the place, man. And I have not forgotten Sweetwater ever since.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you here. You are just blowing up, and you've been blowing up for a long time on the web and on YouTube. And if you don't know who Casey is, just Google his name and go to his YouTube site. And there's how many? 500 videos on your site?
Almost
More?
1,000.
Almost 1,000.
Yeah.
I'm way off. I'm sorry. But okay, so that's a lot of content.
Yes.
You've been doing this for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And as I was scrolling down your page, the numbers came up of views and all the other stuff, and they're just the numbers are enormous. Do you know those off the top of your head?
Just past 300 million views, and I have about 1.3 million subscribers at this point.
That's awesome, man. So now you've been playing since you were a little kid. I know you've started very young.
Mm-hmm.
What made you want to play drums, even at that age? Do you remember what inspired you to hit things at that young age?
I grew up, my dad absolutely just blasted me with awesome music as a kid. And so I grew up listening to all the greats, and Audio Slave. One of my youngest memories is just listening to actually Soundgarden and listening to Spoon Man and Black Hole Sun in the car with my dad, and just thinking about I grew up with so many big bands as my inspiration, and so all the big drummers, John Bonham and Neil Peart, and the list goes on of people that I grew up listening to, and it really, I don't know, I feel like I just had the rhythm inside of me, and because of that inspiration, it really wanted to come out.
So obviously your parents were, patient. Mm-hmm. I felt the same. I started when I was a young kid too, and I always gave my dad and my mother credit, and because of how patient they were to hear me blasting drums in the back of the house for all those years as a kid. So I imagine your parents were the same way, just let you go for it.
Oh, they were very patient. I did have those drum mutes that you stick on the drums for certain times of the day. Thankfully, they've come up with better solutions now, because those were a little lame to play with back then. But they were awesome, and I've had drums in their house for years now. So
very cool. Now, studying and learning, playing at that early age and into school, did you take private lessons, learn in school? How did that kind of come about?
It's funny. I've talked about this before, and I feel like every time I talk about this, somehow I get misquoted on it. But I started out with some private lessons, and I don't know, I guess I wasn't feeling it that much, but I also felt like with the material that I had, I could start learning some of it at home. And it's funny, I say that, and every time someone walks away saying oh, Casey says you don't need a private instructor. And no, not at all. I just happened to have a time period in my life where I didn't have a private instructor, and I was just kind of learning on my own. But I definitely took lessons for a while, and then I really attribute a large portion of my music education to middle school, high school, college band, and learning. I learned to read music, I learned about music theory, I learned about all those different pieces of the puzzle, and it really helped me appreciate music from a wider berth. And outside of that, a lot of my drum education came from playing in churches with drummers that were way better than myself as my mentors. Yeah,
very cool. So did you do drum corps and all those kinds of things throughout high school and college and that stuff?
I did marching band. I didn't end up doing drum corps just because I was really, really into playing with bands at that time through high school and college and stuff, and so I spent more time doing that. And in college, I actually had started my YouTube channel by then, so I spent, my marching band took a lot less time than DCI. In DCI, you're out on the road for 3 months, so I did the marching band, I did the YouTube videos and the bands and stuff.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's get to the YouTube channel. What do you remember? What your first video was?
Well, there's a couple answers to that question, because I originally posted a few videos from high school, talent show stuff, and I tried to do a few covers way back when, in 2007 or 8, but had copyright issues. But when it came down to really kicking off the channel again in May of 2011, I want to say my first cover was maybe E.T., Katy Perry, or something like that. Or I did a lot of dubstep Skrillex back then as well. So those were kind of some of the things that kicked it off.
Now, were you playing with fire and doing all the crazy kind of antics you do that I've seen you do even back at that point, or did that kind of stuff grow as the channel grew and all of that?
It kind of grew as the channel grew.
Okay.
I mean, I did have a video from back before I really started in 2011 of me messing around with the idea of fire on my drumsticks from like, I don't know, late high school or something, which I don't suggest. Don't play with fire at home, by the way. It's not safe.
Folks out there, if you haven't seen it, you have a number of videos where you're playing with fire on your drumsticks.
Yes.
And it's really cool. It makes me want to try. But yeah, don't try this at home. It looks really cool. So how did you, well, first question is, are you burning the drum heads at all when you're playing? Is there something you put on the drums themselves to protect them, or you're playing them so fast it's not really, melting the mylar or anything? How's that working?
Yeah,
or do you don't want to share your trade secret?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm not against sharing it.
Okay.
I don't want people to go out and injure themselves. You got to be very, very careful. Of
course.
But the fire itself, I mean, unless you hold the stick down on the drum, I'm using a very, very not super flammable not gasoline, but I'm trying to think of the word. Starter ignition, like the liquid source is just lamp oil, and so it's like it's not very
super hot,
flammable, and so it doesn't burn that crazy. So you have to hold the stick down in order to really do damage to the drum heads.
Okay, so that's cool.
But it will detune them a little bit because, of course, temperature detunes drums. So by the time I'm done playing for a minute or two, the drums are like a good bit lower than they were to start out.
And you have to use a new pair of sticks every time, I mentioned?
Actually, I created some sticks that are reusable, and so it's not the actual sticks themselves that are on fire. It's some stuff that's attached to the sticks.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that's really creative, man. I mean, it's really entertaining to watch. And I think that's what we were talking about at lunch just a little while ago as we were getting to know each other and having a bite to eat. You like to entertain, and you want to have, inspire and entertain the people watching these things. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay. So, I mean, when it comes to what I do, I started out my YouTube channel in hopes of creating an outlet for my skills and talent, and hope that people would see it and maybe give me opportunities, or it would just open doors and it would get my name out there. Sure. And the more that I did it, the more I realized that it's not about me. Of course I'm the personality, I'm the person behind the channel, but like what it can do for other people, the videos, like not just my videos, all these amazing videos on YouTube, but what being able to access that content, whether educational, whether inspirational, whether just entertainment, all of that really does so much for people, because now they just log on to YouTube on their phone and they can get a new idea to play behind the kit, or they can even just get the desire to play drums. I have a lot of people that tell me that they started drumming because they saw my videos and it looks like so much fun. And it is, and so the more that I got all these comments and messages from people saying like, man, you got me back behind a drum set, or I started playing drums because of you, or, you convinced me that I could really be good at this if I practice hard. It's like, that matters way more than anything I could ever do for myself. Like it's about what I can do for the drumming community with the help of everybody else. Like if it wasn't for the awesome audience supporting the videos and watching them and sharing them, then I wouldn't reach anybody at all. So it's really a group effort, and I commend the drumming community. I think that the numbers are not representative of how good I am or how important or popular I am. They're representative of the fact that the drumming community and music community all got behind one drum channel, and 1.3 million people have clicked subscribe. And that's just the people that click subscribe, The actual viewership of the videos is only like 30% subscribers. There's even more out there that just watch the videos and don't click it. So I think that's awesome. I want the drumming community to come together and be positive and help each other even more than it already does. And so that's kind of my goal behind what I do, is to entertain, inspire, and educate people.
That's really great. And you were also talking about how you want to create new drummers for the future.
Yeah,
which is a really cool thing.
I would love to be, of course I'm not going to have that statistic, but I would love to, that out there's 10 years from now, there's a million or 100,000 people that jump behind a drum set and played it and love it because of the videos, And I certainly there's tons of drummers being created every day through YouTube, and I want to be as much a part of it as I can be, because it really there's nothing greater than doing something you love, and I hope that everyone finds what it is that makes them happy. And for me, it's drumming, and I know for a lot of the people watching, it's going to be drumming once they try it.
Sure. All right, so let's tie off of what you were just talking about. You mentioned something about the funnel effect and how you like to move drummers to other drummers that are out there in the world and kind of bring everybody together, really. Explain what you meant by that.
Yeah, so I mean, as much as, I feel like I'm a pretty good drummer, and I do, I love my gigs, and I feel the gigs that I do. I know, I don't wake up in the morning and think I'm the best drummer on the planet. I don't wake up in the morning and think I'll ever be the best drummer that's ever lived, that kind of thing. And so I know there are amazing drummers out there, amazing educators out there, and I don't want people to see my videos and stop at my videos. I don't want people to think that I'm the ceiling,
Right.
Because some people might not spend a lot of time watching YouTube. They may have found me and they may like what I do. I've seen comments that say you're the best drummer and things like that. And it's all, personal opinion and things like that. You're not going to be able to say that guy's the best drummer on the planet. But I know that there are drummers that people can learn even more than they can learn from me from. And so my goal with my channel is to not just show off what I do and inspire people through what I do, but to send them from my videos to another educator or to another drummer who's even more inspirational and has skills that I don't have, And so as much as, I want to teach and educate as much as I can, I know that the more you learn, the more people you talk to, the more people you see, the more ideas you get. And so it's another piece of that collaborative puzzle, that drumming community coming together. I want to continue to produce content that features other people that those drummers can go and watch and learn even more from. And so that's kind of it.
That's cool. And I've talked about this with a lot of other instrumentalists. And really the drum world, we do share stuff more than other instrumentalists. I know that's kind of a blanket statement, but it is quite true. Drummers like to share stuff. Man, check out this chop I just learned. Look at this fill. Look at this. And it is a give and take kind of thing quite easily with drummers out there.
I agree.
Very cool. So you were mentioning gigs. What kind of gigs are you doing around town? We know your YouTube channel and you playing along the songs and stuff like that, but what are you doing out there live or in the studio? What's going on?
Yeah, so I do a lot of different stuff. I think one of the most important things that you can be as a musician is versatile, especially if you're trying to be a professional drummer or to make music your day job. Right. Being versatile is really important. And so for me, one night I may be playing with an orchestra, which, doesn't happen that often. I'm not saying go start practicing to play with an orchestra. That's not really a popular gig, but there are those opportunities. So one night I'm playing with the orchestra, the next night I'm playing at church. Later that week I'm filling in for a different band. And sometimes I'm in the studio as well. Once I finish the studio at my house, I'll be doing a lot of work out of there with different musicians, different drummers, different songwriters. But the kind of thing is that I'm always doing something a little bit different, and it's not my main gig because I love my family and I love being home. I don't really want to be touring all the time, but I definitely want to continue to move more into mainstream music and production and actually putting out records and doing some shows as well in that area. You also might find me halftime shows at basketball games, and a couple months ago I played 2 bar mitzvahs in the span of a week. It's fun, being a drummer and trying to think outside the box and just whatever people want you to do. If I think that saying yes is great, and I try not to say no unless I need to, you know?
Okay, going down that same path, do you play any other instruments?
A little
or dabble in anything else?
Yeah, I dabble in piano. I can't play it technically properly, you won't find me doing that kind of thing, but I can make a piano sound good to a certain extent. I'm not super proficient, but I know, the theory behind the notes and the scales and things of that nature. Okay. I learned a little bit of saxophone. I try and learn a little bit of everything. That way I can have an appreciation for everything because, especially in marching band, being on the drum line, I hear the drum line always talking oh my gosh, why are the winds taking a break? Why aren't they playing this rep? Man, I tried playing a saxophone and I had trouble playing something super easy sitting in a chair in the air conditioning. I can't once I did that, I realized how difficult it is to run around on a field and play all these notes with all that breath and in the hot sun. And so I think that dabbling in a little bit of different instruments is something that can really help you grow closer to the band that you're in and the people that you work with, because you understand them a little bit.
Right. And what about songwriting? Have you dabbled in, gotten into that yet?
Yeah, so I have written some songs, nothing that's like recorded and out there really. It's some things I used to play with some old bands and stuff like that, but it's definitely on the horizon. I'd love to put out, I'll definitely be working with some other songwriters, but then I also want to produce some of my own content that is kind of like drum-centric in a way, like certainly not like a drum solo album, but you know, something that like, I want people to listen to the album that I put out and like recognize the drumming. You know, like you know those songs where like the beat comes in and you know what song it is instantly? That's the kind of stuff that I want to put together, where like the song starts and you're like, oh, it's Casey Cooper, it's that group, you know? And so that's kind of like a little bit of my goal there. That's lofty thinking, you know. I'm certainly not saying I'm going to be super successful at it, but that's the goal.
Cool. Well, and the reason I asked if you songwrite too, because you know your covers encompass a ton of variety of music, right? All kinds. So are you learning from the songs, other than the drum parts? Are you kind of soaking in the other stuff that's in the songs as well, and kind of learning that as well? Oh
yeah, I mean, it's certainly personal opinion, but I feel like when I listen to songs that are up and coming, or songs that are fairly like low key, I can hear whether or not that song is going to be popular, you know. Like I can listen to a song and I can pick out the parts that could change here, could switch a little bit, like from almost like a producer standpoint, you know, like, oh man, this song is great, but it'd be even better with this, you know. And so I hope that I get to do a lot of that in upcoming years, really putting out material that, I mean, of course, at the end of the day, it's going to be what your opinion is of the music, and someone else isn't going to think the same thing. But I feel like I've learned a lot from playing this music. And I tell drummers all the time that if you want to be a better player, don't diss a style. Don't put down a genre of music. Like, and people do it all the time. Like I had this kid the other day that was just roasting the fact that I play pop songs. And it's like, pop songs, as much as they're drumming, you may think it's easier, but it's like, it's the feel, it's the way that you do it, it's the way that you make people dance. And that's one of my favorite things about playing drums is like, I don't often play a lot of super technical stuff, because when I want to play, I want to make people dance. And you know, it's different, but learning a little bit of each genre, or a lot of bit of each genre, is going to allow you to be more accessible.
The vocabulary is going to be bigger. You have more stuff to choose from.
You don't want to get a phone call and your rent's due at the end of the month, and someone's like, hey, I want to pay you $1,000 to come out and play this metal show with me. And you have to say, hey man, sorry, I don't play metal. Or, hey man, no, I don't play pop. Like, you want to be able to play it all, because then you can say yes and you can get paid.
Yeah, and you don't have to be an expert at all of them.
Don't.
You just have to be proficient. Yeah. And that's all, you know, totally. I couldn't agree with you more on that point. Of the songs that you pick to do covers on your website, do you pick most of them? I know you have like subscribers give you suggestions and stuff like that. Is it a half and half, or how do you pick the material?
I mean, I always make the final decision on whether or not it's going to get covered, but I do spend a lot of time combing the comments and seeing what people are suggesting. And it's hard for me to ignore, like on some videos, there'll be like a comment that says like, cover this, and it's got like 120 upvotes. And you're like, okay, that's a song that a large portion of my audience is interested in. And of course, 120 is not a large portion of the million, but it's like, I can tell that is a popular trending thing right now. And so that's one of the toughest parts, is just trying to pick material that is going to be enjoyed by such a broad audience. Because I have people who love metal, I have people who love classical music, I have people who love pop, I have people who love rock, and I have some people that hate one or the other, you know. And so I'll get crap no matter what it is that I post, but I try to pick things that the largest amount of people are going to be satisfied with, which sometimes means that I don't get to do more of the niche, however you say that word, that those songs that only a few people know and have heard of. And that's a big reason that I play pop a lot of the times, because a large portion of my audience wants it. And so
smart businessman. You're a businessman at the end of the day as well. I mean, you're a drummer and you want to entertain and inspire, like we talked about, but you are a businessman as well. and it's not newly married, but almost newly married, and you have a brand new kid that's only a few months old, so you have to think about your family as well. So it's smart to do it the way you're doing it.
Yeah.
At least that's my opinion.
Oh, I mean, I appreciate it. I hope that everyone understands it, but they're not. They're looking at it from the other side of a computer screen. They don't know that all that goes into it, and they just think like, oh, I saw you cover metal once, so why don't you do it all the time? You know, so it's difficult to be in this position of trying to please all these different people. And at the end of the day, I do what I love. And that's the biggest thing of whether or not I do a cover is I'll pick a song. And there's times where I go on iTunes, I click buy after listening to the song, and then I sit down and I play to it. And I'm like, well, this didn't really, I don't feel like this is going to be a cover. Like, I want to finish the song and be so happy and so excited about the way that the song came together and how I feel behind the kit playing it. And if I don't enjoy it and love it, then it's not going to be as good of a cover.
While we were talking earlier, having lunch and stuff, you were talking about accessibility of your videos and the content you're providing. So why don't you explain that to the viewers, what you meant by that?
Yeah, so when I put out a video, I mean, of course, I want to always be improving my chops. I want to always be able to play more and to do more, but it's not necessarily about how many notes I can play in a cover. It's about what fits the music, but it's also about what someone can look at and enjoy and possibly pick up, I'm not trying to be invincible here. I'm not trying to be better than everyone. I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm out of reach, because I feel that so many times when I watch some of the best drummers in the world. I'm like, how am I ever going to get there? And I know that feeling, and I feel like everyone knows that feeling unless you're the best drummer in the world. So it's like, I don't want to cater to that feeling, you know? I want some of my videos to have stuff that's like, oh man, it's going to take me a long time to learn that. Like, I don't want to, be like right here all the time, but when I do a video, I want it to be accessible. I want it to be relatable. I want it to be something that someone watches and thinks, that could be me in a year, or that could be me in a week, if I sit down and I really practice this. Or maybe it's 5 years if you're a newer drummer, but that's okay. I really feel like if drumming is what you're devoted to and what you're really going hard at, then if you practice for hours every single day, you're going to be able to be way better than I am at the age I am, because I never had a chance to just practice all day long, or I didn't go to school for music and just sit in a practice room all day long. And so if that's what you want to do, I want to convince you that you can do it. I don't want to be better than everyone. I want everyone to get better and surpass me. I want to inspire drummers to be the best they can be and to continue growing to the point where I'm watching their videos later down the road and I'm like, man, that's so good. I want to learn that, And I think that that's how we should all look at it, because every person has someone that's better than them and has people they're better than, Like the day that you wake up in the morning, you think, I'm so good, I don't have anywhere to go. Or the day you wake up in the morning.
You should do something else at that point. Or
yeah, exactly. Like, and when you wake up in the morning and you think like, oh man, I'm so better than all these people. Or you watch someone's video and you think, man, how am I ever going to be that good? Like, don't use that as something that puts you down. Use it as something that builds you up. Look at those people that are better than you as inspiration to get there. And look at the people that you're better than, knowing that, no, you're not better than them. They're just at a different spot in their journey, Like, they have things to learn that you've learned, and encourage them. And really, try and be positive. Like, so many people are so negative when they see something they don't like, and I really, really try to encourage.
I know that.
Yeah, I try to encourage positivity because you're if someone says something mean to me, it may not hurt my feelings because I feel pretty confident in what it is that I do. But if you say something mean to a newer drummer and you kill their desire to play the drums, their love for what they do, man, that's the worst thing ever.
Harsh, yeah.
Like, imagine if you were 5 years younger and you stopped playing drums because someone said something really mean to you. I mean, it's not necessarily going to make someone quit drumming, but you can hurt someone's feelings with words. So be careful with that and try and be really positive. And I guess that's it,
Sure, that's it in a nutshell. That's great. And along that same line, I've been playing drums for a really long time now, for over 40 years. And I'm still learning stuff all the time. And a lot of drummers, especially those guys that we look up to that are doing this outrageous stuff with their hands and feet, it's just mind-boggling, the speed and dexterity and independence that they do. It's crazy. So showing off stuff that's simple but tasty, simple that's accessible, all those words you used, to me is really important. So I give you mad props for that kind of stuff because you need both. You definitely need both.
Definitely.
You know,
you need to know where you can get soon, and you need to know where you can get way down the road.
Definitely.
And I want to be both for people. I want to show them something they can get to soon, and I want to show them something that'll take them a little while to get to.
Right.
And then I want to show them someone who can show them something that'll take them a long time to get to.
Right. Definitely. Before we close off this video, that was all amazing information. I really appreciate everything you're saying here today. Drums cover specifically. When you pick a tune, no matter what the tune is, are you learning the song note for note with whatever the drum part is on the song? Are you embellishing? Are you making up stuff totally brand new? All of those things?
It's all of it combined.
Okay.
I mean, when I pick a drum cover, of course, the term drum cover is just what you call it.
Okay.
You know, it's like some people are always like, you're not even playing the original drum part exactly. Like, why are you calling it a cover? Well, that's just what people look for. Like, people on my channel are not going to go look for me playing a drum cover, even if it's not a drum cover, by searching for something else, you know? So that's just the overall words. But I mean, the goal behind what I do, I want to pay respect to the original drummer in that I learn a lot of their parts and a lot of what it is that they did. In pop songs and stuff, there's usually not even an original drummer behind it. It's usually just programmed drums.
Right.
But I want to pay respect to that, but then I want to make it my own. Because at the end of the day, like, I don't find entertainment and enjoyment in playing something note for note. I don't feel like I've added anything creatively to it, and I don't feel like I've had any real time to make it my own. And when I put out these videos, I want them to be my own. So my goal is to cover the original drum part in a way and then add something to it that, in my personal opinion, for a drum cover, not for the song, for a drum cover makes it more enjoyable to watch. Because some people would be like, oh, you're not fitting the song anymore. And it's like, when you're doing a drum cover, it's about the drumming. And so some songs, yes, completely, I do things that are way overplayed, way over the top, not necessary, wouldn't make it on the original cut of the album.
Right.
But it's just for the drumming, you know? Right. And so the biggest thing, if you're trying to do drum covers, is that you want to cover like the kick and the snare a lot of times and the big crashes and stuff, because those are going to come out through the song over your drumming if you don't play at the same time as those. But other than that, I mean, I usually try and do something that I feel like maybe the song could have had, or something that I feel like gives the song more energy and punch and fun. And each one takes a little bit of a different scientific formula.
I'm sure. I was just kind of curious of in general how you went about it.
Yep.
Man, so much killer information here today. I'm so happy you're here at Sweetwater hanging out with me. And I think we're going to play some drums together here in a little while soon. So that's going to be awesome as well. So Casey, best of luck with your marriage, your family, your career, and just upwards and onwards, man.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching, everybody.